now. Vodamar Rabbi Yehuda. Halacha Hey. Vodamar Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda also said, Shtei Chal Shel Toda. Now, this is a way in which they knew what time of day it was in Erev Pesach. Shtei Chal Shel Toda Hay Psulos. There were 2 chals of Toda which were unfit. In other words, they couldn't be eaten. The question is, why not? The Gemara will deal with that. Umunachos, and they were placed on the top of one of the series of steps in the Beis HaMikdash. Kol zman shemunachos, as long as they were sitting there, kol ha'am ochin, everybody was permitted to eat. No matter who they were, what they were eating, they're allowed to eat chametz. Nidla achas man, when one of the chalos was taken away, tolin, then from then on they would not eat chametz. They leave it around, lo dangling, literally, lo chlim v'lo safrin. They wouldn't eat nor burn it until nitlu shteim, until the subsequent hour when both of the chalos were taken away. Hischilu kol am sarfin, and then everybody would begin to burn their chametz. Gamliel mer chulin nechulin kol chamesh. Gamliel said chulin can be eaten all the 4th hour, meaning till 10 o'clock. The truma kol chamesh, meaning till 11 o'clock. The start with chayashesh, one burns at the beginning of the 6th hour, meaning at the beginning of the 11 o'clock hour. Okay, Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish Omer. Shimon Lo said, Rabbi Shimon Rabbi Shimon Lo said, name Rabbi Yanai. Kasherus hayu. Really, there was nothing puzzle about these chalos toda. They were kosher chalos toda. It's just, says Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish, that mishum mai hu poson. Why they call puzzle? Shalo lishos aleim et azavach, because there was no carbon upon which literally to delay them. But what it means is there's no carbon to sacrifice for them. The chalos were okay todos, but they lost the carbonos which went with the chalos. So therefore, there's nothing to do. The chalos themselves are kosher. They're hypothetically valid. They weren't talking or anything. Just that the korbanos which they intended to accompany had disappeared, had been sacrificed already with other chalos, and therefore these are rendered unfit. Says the Yerushalmi, "V'lo b'shchita en kedoshos." I don't understand. When do they become directly connected to a korban? At the time of shchita, at the time when you shech the korban toida. So if you lost the korban, so use the chalos for another korban. Redeem them. Redeem them, or don't use for another korban. Better yet, redeem them and eat them. Right? They're only irrevocably kadosh when they may not be sold after the korban is brought. If the korban is not brought, then they're still kosher bedek habayis, still just considered to be property of hektish. So therefore, at this point, you can go redeem them and eat them. It's chulin. So it's more Amir Rabbi Chanania Chulaya. I'm sorry, Amir Rabbi Chanania. Chanania said Chulaya the chulin kumei, which is in front of him, lo ochel. It's Erev Pesach. He doesn't have enough time to eat all the chametz he's got. He's got oodles and oodles of chametz. So the chulin which he has, the non-kachim stuff, he can't eat. Lo ochel. He doesn't have time to eat. He wanted to redeem this toda bread and eat it. When does he have time to eat that? He has more than enough to eat. So therefore, the bottom line is these korbanos toda are not inherently puzzle. They're just not worth redeeming. It's not worth redeeming. They're going to be puzzle, meaning they're not going to be used. Rabbi Omer, Rabbi has a different perspective. Now here, there's again a word missing. It's Rabbi somebody. It's a Amora, not the Tana Rabbi. So the Vilma brings from the Yerushalmi Pesachim in the Bavli. It's supposed to be Rav Chanina. It's supposed to be Rabbi Hanania. This is Rabbi Chanina. Excuse me, Rabbi Chanina Omer. Psula Omar Psula saw you. They were a puzzle. Why are they puzzle? Because that morning of Erev Pesach they're being the todos very quickly. Why are they being very quickly? Because there's chametz in them. So therefore, in the frenzy, it's not possible that the blood of one of them will not spill. Themselves then becomes unfit. Now, Rabbi say, based on this Yerushalmi, if you base yourself on this Yerushalmi, what would you change in our davening Erev Pesach? You'd say Mizmor Soda, because they, right? Because the Bavli holds they didn't do any Todas in Erev Pesach. Bavli and Daf Yud Gimel, I didn't recall, but Lieberman brings it down. The Yerushalmi holds that they did sacrifice Korbanos Torah in Erev Pesach. So our davening paskins like the Bavli. Okay? What? What to do? What did they do? Right. We're going to have, there's several machlokim like that in Pesachim. So in the morning, the Taisus brings down, a few. This morning we had also whether to bring the, what was it this morning? Say about the Korbanos on Yontif. Oh yeah, whether they were makdish Korbanos before they entered the Azor, the Korbanos Pesach. So also machlokas and mitzias, so they makdish the Korbanos Pesach. We're going to have later. When they makdish Korbanos Pesach before they entered the Azor, before they get in the base of Mikdash, and they used to use them because using kachim l'shem, Korbanos Pesach, the Korban Pesach, because they use the animal to carry the knife. Using the animal, right. So Hill said they weren't makdish the animal till they had the base on Mikdash. And Yerushalmi holds they were, so that's another machlokas of that type. Okay, so says Gemara, Tani, we learned. Another simon which they discussed was Shtei Poros Charshos Yerushalayim. There were two cows plowing Yerushalayim. And as long as the cows are plowing, so they knew they could eat chametz. As for Yerushalayim, lo b'makom shnagu shlo lasos malacha. Yerushalayim was not a place where there was a custom not to do malacha b'arbas on the 14th day of Pesach. So on the 14th day of Nisan, so how could they plow? So the word "who" is part of the question. Yerushalayim.
Judging by what you see out of Meir Sharm, forget about 14th day. Every day doing it.
So, Koshken Erev Pesach. So it says, Yerushalmi love makom shnagu shalasos malacha barabasu miros kucharshos. So they used to look like they were plowing. They didn't actually plow. Istani Tana, there are those who learn Shnei Neirostokin. They used to burn 2 candles. Istani Tanish, they seem to used to have 2 sheets, meaning 2 flags. Pinchas says, they're not arguing. Madamar Shtei Poros, he who said there were 2 cows, or Shtei Neros, or 2 candles, B'chod Seibat on a weekday. Madamar Shtei Stinim on Shabbos. On Shabbos they used to use flags. Rabbi Chanania boy Kumi Rabbi Mona. Rabbi Chanania has a Rabbi Mona, V'yikbu Lot Tekiah. Yet let's use the good old-fashioned method, which is a shofar, right? Blowing tekiyas. So he said, if you say they're going to use tekiyas to warn people, they'd say Omer, people are going to get confused. People are going to think Shemel Tomid Hein Tokin. They're going to think that the blowing of the shofar that day is not really for the Pesach, but rather for the Tomid. Famous Kalklin, and they'll get ruined. In other words, they won't remember that has to do with the chametz, with the eradicating the chametz. Ask the Gemara. Didn't we learn that on Erev Shabbos they used to use tekiyos as simonim? Shalosh lavdil samin halacha, 3 tekiyos in order to get the people to stop working. The shalosh and 3 other ones lavdil mekol to divide between Friday and Shabbos. So we see that they did use in the base and make their tekiyos as a sign. So it says the Gemara, Amalisa said, Tamon, Kol Erev Shabbos or Shabbos same token. There they blew each and every Erev Shabbos. So people already know that these blows were not for the Talmud, but rather to warn of the impending Shabbos. But here, Achaz Akitzin here. It happens once every epoch, meaning once a year. So it only happens once a year. So therefore, people are not going to remember what these extra tekiyos for. They're not going to remember that the extra tekiyos are in order to remind us, about when to stop eating chametz. Okay. Again, he reiterates the reason why it's not to be trusted. In Marmar Cave, you say that you're going to make tekiyos. People are going to think that the tekiyos are for the Talmud, and they're going to get ruined thereby. Ask the Gemara, Lama. Now, this is going back on on why we get an extra hour to eat truma. Our mission said for Truma you get an extra hour. You can eat the entire 10 o'clock hour until 11 o'clock. Why? So says Yerushalmi, is it because you make Kedusha, because Truma is holy and we want to give it extra time in order to consume it? Or not because it's holy, but rather because there aren't a lot of people around to eat it. So therefore you have to give it extra time to be eaten, an extra hour. What's the nafkamina between these two approaches? What's the difference? Chalos Toda. We're dealing with Chalos of Toda. If you're going to say that there are not enough people to eat the Truma, well, then here by Chalos Toda, Elu Ochlin Mitzuyin. There are a lot of people present who can eat Chalos Toda. Rabbi said, why is that? Why by a regular korban, by Truma, is it not Ochlin Mitzuyin, and why by Chalos Toda is Ochlin Mitzuyin? By Truma, there are not enough people around to eat. By korbanos Toda, there are enough people around to eat. It's a very simple answer. What's the difference? Exactly. Told you it's simple. No offense. No offense in saying it's simple. It's very complicated. You got it anyway. Truma only Kohanim can eat, and Chalos Toda anyone can eat. So there are far more candidates to eat it. Okay. So says Gemara. Ite b'shein ochlim mitzuyim elu ochlim mitzuyim. So then in that case, well, that's between Toda and Truma. In Taim, our last line, we make Kedusha, so it's because of Kedusha, so then there's no distinction. Elu ve'elu, yesh ben Kedusha, and certainly for both you should give the extra time in order to allow for the consumption of the additionally holy stuff. Says more further, Rabbi Nosson Omer. Rabbi Nosson says, when they used to use outside the Beis Hamikdash, on the high place of Beis Hamikdash, the sign with Chalos, in order to tell us what the time of the day was. So it says, Ksheros not lu. The carbonator really makes it to not lu. They took kosher Chalos. The Ksheros nitlu. Showing them sha'achas lachilosan. You give those cows an extra hour to eat, meaning from the 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock, and then to Vitolin below surfing. And afterwards, one second. I forget what exactly our breakdown is. No, so I made a mistake before. They used to take these chalos away at the beginning of the 5th hour. At 10 o'clock they took them away. Here's the way to read it. Rabbi Nosson Ksheros, they were the Ksheros, not Nitlu. They were taken away. They took kosher ones, and they used to take them away at the end of the 5th hour. Showing at the beginning of the 5th hour, showing them sha'achas tachilosan, and you wait the entire 5th hour during which those chalos themselves can be eaten because they're taida, and the one is going to pick up on that momentarily. Of the tolin and of a low surfing, and during that time, vis-a-vis the chulin, the non-toda or truma stuff, you're toilet and you're not sorry for it. You leave it dangling, you don't burn it. Islach me'im v'shum she'en ochlem mitzuyim. So can you say that it's because the reason why we leave the chalos toda an extra hour because there aren't enough people to eat it? There are plenty of people to eat it. Israelim can eat it, right? At low we make kedusha, so it must be because of the kedusha that we leave an extra hour. So here by the truma we give it an extra hour. Those given extra hours because of its kedusha. Amra Yira and Posi Niran Dvarim Shtetei Alok Ramam Leo. During the entire 4th hour, you can chametz, and during the entire 4th hour, you can eat chametz, both chulin and truma. During the 5th hour, you can only eat from truma, and then right afterwards you have to burn it. Because he comes out with the sheet which is between the other two. Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda had a machlokas. Rabbi Meir holds you burn after the 4th. Rabbi Yehuda holds you burn in the 6th. So Rabbi Yishmael comes out in the middle. Now the Bavli said the fact that he comes out in the middle is nice, but that's not a right that you paskin like him, because he's not a machriya. We always paskin like the machriya, and the machriya is somebody who comes in the middle of machlokas and takes elements of both sides and combines it to find a new shita which combines the best of both sides. But the thing is, Rabbi Gamliel didn't do that because none of his predecessors linked it to inside and outside. Sorry, none of his predecessors linked it to truma versus anything else. They said the two other antagonists previous in the Mishnah have been Rabbi Yehuda and I think Chachamim. And one had said Rabbi Meir. Sorry, Rabbi Meir says eat at the entire 5th hour, both chulin and truma. And Rabbi Yehuda says you only eat until the end of the 4th hour, both chulin and truma. For Gamliel to come and throw in a new factor about truma vis-a-vis chulin or whatever, that element is not a valid element to throw in. I'm not making myself clear. But yeah, it's a new factor. A machriya is always when we paskin. The machriya, the reason why we pass like a machriya is because he makes it a row, but each of the points he's machriya on. He says, factor A of Tana A, I like, I'm joining with him. Factor B of Tana B, I like, I'm joining with him. So we have 2 hits on each of the factors. But when he throws in a 3rd factor and said, I'll make a compromise. Let's go in factor C, meaning here it throws in the dichotomy between Truma and Chulin. That's not Achra. So the Bavli says we don't paskin like him. But the Yerushalmi says, I like him. He's in the middle. The middle ground, it's a golden path. So we paskin like him. Okay, so basically between the Bavli and the Yerushalmi. Of course, we paskin like the Bavli. Well, actually, that's what it is. So how many kochim bismanaseh or any truma. But hypothetically, we pass the Bavli, and you have to stop eating also truma by the end of the 4th hour, beginning of the 5th hour. Okay? So far, so good. So it says more Atzar Rabbi Avum B'Shem Rabbi Yechudon, Rabbi Yechudon B'Shem Rabbi Shimon Tzach, Halok Rabbi Gamliel, Tzach Gamliel, Shomer Man Shtein, that he combines the both opinions, but we don't paskin that we don't paskin like him. Okay. Halacha Vav. The great sugya. Rabbi Chanina Skana Koinim. Right? Oh, is Rabbi Chanan here? First of all, it's much easier in the Yerushalmi. Right? Much. Right?
We already had the sugya.
Yeah, we had it. Where do we have it else in the Yerushalmi? In Zerayim is in Meiser Sheni? Because that's where the Gemara showed, so they have references. I remember it's the Gemara, the hearing. Oh, it did? Oh boy, what a waste. Rabbi Chinuska.
You know what else we didn't have here? The Machloks about Yomar and Yomer.
That's the 2nd paragraph. Yeah. Rabbi Chinas Kanakonim Omer, main Shakwanim, during the entire history of the priesthood, Lo Nimnu Milisrovas Abosar Shnitma Vladatuma. They did not refrain from burning meat which came to me with the Vladatuma. In Basar Shnitma Avatuma. Now, Basar which came to me with Vladatuma, what's its status? A Vlad is a Rishon, so what's the meat status? Sheni. So they would always burn it with meat which is Nitma Ba'avatuma. The meat which is Tami Ba'avatuma, what's its status? Rishon. So burn Rishon with Sheni. Avo Bisham Osivin Tuma Tuma, so even though you add to the Tuma the Sheni. Now, Gemara's going to ask, what are you talking about? But not yet. First, very fundamental machlokas, which I'm sure you remember. But Kaporim here, Ava Tuma Dvar Torah. Not you, Yaakov. Ava Tuma is the Raisa, meaning all of us Tuma is the Raisa. Av is whatever touches a Zav. I'm sorry. A Zav is an Av. Whatever touches a Zav. No, Zav is an Av. just a merkav hazov. Aviyavos is a mace. Whatever touches the mace is not. By zov, the merkav hazov, what a zov rides on or sits on is also an avatuma. But most things which touch an av are rishon l'tuma, and things which touch a rishon are sheni. Now, vlad tuma means a rishon, supposed to not. So Bar Kapara holds, even though vlad does become tummy, because the Torah says many times that a vlad, there is such thing as a vlad, right? If somebody touches navatuma, such as the sheretz, it becomes tummy. But that vlad atuma should be mitami achen. It could be mitami other things. It's only the rabbanon. Okay, it can't be mitami other things. The rights are only the rabbanon, according to Bar Kapara. And the Rambam sees the paskin like it. So Bar Kapara mer avatuma dvar Torah. Vlad atuma divreim. The vlad atuma is the rabbanon. Rabbi Yochanan Mar Ben said dvar Torah. They're both are rices. Al taiti Bar Kapara dichon. According to Bar Kapara, I understand our Mishnah. I empathize with our Mishnah. Because the Mishnah is talking about burning a rishon and the sheni. The rishon is a tumah d'oraisa. The sheni is only tumah d'rabbanan, right? So you're adding tumah by burning a d'oraisa and the d'rabbanan together. However, al daiti Rabbi Yochanan, according to Rabbi Yochanan, avatuma osa rishon, right? The avatuma is made the meat a rishon, or the chametz a rishon, whatever's in there with the meat. The meat, the other meat, vladatuma osa sheni. The vladatuma, the rishon makes a sheni. So what are you burning together? Rishon and a sheni. Sheni shnaga rishon areishu areivim komo. The sheni which touches rishon doesn't go up in tuma. They're both are riceless, right? And it's not being elevated into tumah at all. So it's not being elevated into tumah at all. What's the chiddush or mitzvah? It's pashut it's mutter. What are you doing wrong? You're burning a rishon with a sheni. The rishon is only going to make the sheni a sheni. Guess what the sheni already was? A sheni. What is the problem? So says the Yerushalmi in answer. Shashlishi shenoga b'rishon not a sheni. Now the way all the interpretations will go here, the same like the Bavli. In other words, we're not talking about burning a rishon with a sheni. We're talking about burning a rishon with a shlishi, and then the shlishi will elevate the sheni by coming to contact with the rishon. But the Mashbiach says no. Mashbiach says there's a typo. Instead of shashlishi, it should be shasheni. And it's all part of the question because he doesn't like the shin. Never start an answer with a shin. Shin is a because. And here, all the other Mefarshim say shashlishi is the beginning of an answer, so he doesn't like that. So he says, rather, this is part of the question. The question is like this. What am I going to do? According to Rabbi Yochanan, right, you have a sheni which touches a rishon, means a sheni. Sheni! Because a sheni should not have a rishon, not a sheni. So there's nothing, so you, how are you going to say the Mishnah? What's the chiddush? What? Right. Now, according to the Mashbiach, there's no answer to the question, which of course is why the Rambam paskin like Bar Kapara. Because according to Rabbi Yochanan, our mission doesn't make sense. If we're talking about case of burning a sheni with a rishon, there's a, yeah. Vladatum is only the Rabbana. The Marapoyan tries to fetch out of it. Doesn't do a good job. The arguments on the Rishonim, the Radbaz and the Marie Kurkus both say that the Rambam holds like the Yerushalmi. Okay, Tani Beishalmi Omri. Beishalmi says, now this is a very interesting machlokes. Tani Beishalmi Omri, by the way, the Mashbiach woke up for Pesachim. It was kind of a sleeping interval, but there's an extraordinary amount of Mashbiach. Maybe you heard there was no Stipler son on it. There was an extraordinary amount of Mashbiach on Masech Pesachim. Tani Beishalmi Omri, ain't serving Basar Tar in Basar Tarmei. You can't burn Basar Tar with Basar, which is Tarmei. Now, we're talking about even where the Basar Tar is puzzle, such as it's Neusar or Pigu, you still can't burn together. Why? Because the Tameh is Tameh and the puzzle is Tahar, and never the twain shall meet. So you cannot burn them together according to Beishamai. Beisil Matir, Beisil says puzzle, Tameh, it's all the same, you can burn them all together. Al daiti de Bar Kapara nicha. According to Bar Kapara, I understand what Beisil is saying. Sarf im psul to Torah im psul to mas Torah. What Basil is saying is you burn that which is pasul d'oraisa with that which is tamei d'oraisa. Utrichad mishma, and you have to tell us our Mishnah, which tells us tumas divreim and tumas Torah. So you can burn a thing which is tamei d'rabban, such as tamei d'oraisa. Utrichad mishma. Oh, that's the end of the sentence. But it means you need both. Both you burn a pasul and a tamei and a tamei. Pasul d'oraisa with a tamei d'oraisa and a tamei d'rabban with a tamei d'oraisa. But I'll die to Rabbi Yochanan. I don't understand. Our Mishnah is already talking about, that brayso is already talking about in pasul Torah, nicer pigul, in tumas Torah, with tamei, sarvin, koshkein tumas Torah, in tumas Torah. So certainly our Mishnah is true. Rabbi Kiva holds both things in our Mishnah are Toraisas. Not Rabbi Kiva. Rabbi Kiva's next Mishnah. Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan holds both things in our Mishnah Toraisas. So therefore, if you could burn a tummy with a pasul d'oraisa, you certainly can burn a tummy with a tummy d'oraisa. So that's a very interesting answer. Rabbi Chinas Kanakonim Shani Mishum Beishami Beisil. We want to make our Mishnah work both according to Beishami and Beisil. Because he's telling over what happened in the Beis HaMikdash, right? So we need to make it, that's your time from before. So we want to make it shtim, we want to make it work out with as many sheets as possible. So therefore, in our Mishnah, Rabbi China is coming, you should know, even though Beis Shammai says you can't burn a pasul d'oraisa with a tamei d'oraisa, you can burn a tamei d'oraisa, even if they're different in the hierarchy of tumah. Okay, that's the. That's actually a combination of Vilma and the Mashgiach. Neither of them makes the full statement I just made, but that's good. Never mind. Not confused. Yeah, I was Machriya. Says Amar Rabbi Mona, Kumi Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Mona stand in front of Rabbi Yossi. Al daitid Rabbi Yochanan, Nicha. According to Rabbi Yochanan, our Mishnah makes sense. The Mar Rabbi Yochanan said, Al Shisha Sveikos, there were 6 tumas to Rabbanan. In Safik, well, actually, they might. Let's assume that the Rabbanan. Shisha Sveikos, so you totally not laying. There were 6 Sveikos, which they used to dangle the Truma. If one of the Sveikos occurred to it, they were Toile, who were Usha, and subsequently in Usha, when the Sanhedrin was in Usha, they decreed that they should be burnt. Now, one of those things was one of those Sveikos which they decreed should be burned. So was what? Yeah, we're trying to remember what he's asking about. Let's go on and see, because I forgot. According to Usha, there was no burning. So, what we mean by that is that. What? I skip? Let me read it anyway over here. Usha was not before Usha. Before Usha, there was no burning Truma d'Rabbanan. Yet our Mishnah burns Truma d'Rabbanan. Well, couldn't I be Bar Kapara? Rabbi Chiya's Kanakonim is already burning Truma d'Rabbanan. So, like Rabbi Yochanan, our Mishnah is about Truma d'Oraisa. It's not a kasher d'Oraisa, and you can burn them together. But like Rabbi Kapara, who says in our Mishnah, we're burning Truma d'Rabbanan. When did they allow burning Truma d'Rabbanan? Only much later than Rabbi Chiya's Kanakonim. Usha, after the Churban Beis HaMikdash. So how's Rabbi Chiya's Kanakonim telling you can burn them together? It's a very big kiddush. It's not even true, the Gemara says. Says the Gemara, so he said, Tipater shnitma v'klis chuchis. I didn't know this. Glassware, I'm sure I did, but I forgot. Glassware is only metami d'Rabbanan.
Of course it's only metami d'Rabbanan. The school gets his whole board.
What does he say?
I much brought this to your attention. Look on Jewish law and lore.
Yeah.
Why there was tumah on glass? Because it was crafted outside of Israel. It had to do with economic reasons. And so they put a tumah on the glass to sort of secure the industry in Israel. And when I mentioned it to you, you said, "Oh, kids go get a lousy job relying on socioeconomics."
Right.
That doesn't sound like it.
I still maintain that. But the thing is, why is Chulus not Matami D'Oraisa? I guess because it's the same thing like Tfilas Kalim. It's not considered to be called Shir Taviru Ba'esh. There goes to Tfilas Kalim on glassware is only the Rabbana. We don't make a bracha on Tfilas glassware. We try to toivel a metal vessel the same time that you do glass vessel, or to make a bracha. So I guess that Tfilas Kalim is the barometer here, and therefore it's only the Rabbana. So if that's the case, but it's the Rabbanan that they burnt on. They burnt Truma on it. So Rabbi Kapar will say our mission story about a Tumah de Rabbanan, but the Tumah de Rabbanan of glassware. So it says the Gemara, Amarle Apilu Tema Shenitma Apilu Temar Nitma B'Kli Schuchis. It's not going to wash. Even if it's about glassware. Locate on Rabbi Zichon, Rabbi Abu Shur, Rabbi Yirmiyah, Rabbi Yossi ben Yoezer, Yisrael, Yossi ben Yochanan, Yisrael, Gazu Tumul Eretzami. They're the ones who agree that the Kohen who enters Chutz La'aretz, for that matter, even in Yisrael, but somebody who goes to the airspace of Chutz La'aretz, or Val Kleis glassware becomes Tameh, which is later. It's later Rabbi Chinas Klanakani. Rabbi Yehuda Mar Yehuda bet Taboy b'Shem Shetach. They made a xera against clay matchos, meaning if you had a metal vessel and you melt it down, so normally it loses its tumah, but what if you reshape it again in the same form? Right? So they were glazed that since it looks like the same thing it was, so it still has tumah, the tumah comes back. Okay?
Even though fire.
Right. So he says, Yerushalmi grows the Yadayim. Now, I was somewhat shocked by this because I didn't remember, of course. It says Yerushalmi were the ones who goes the Yadayim. That's nice. But what about King Solomon? King Solomon made the Xer on the Tilos Yadayim. So what is their Xer? So I saw it brought down. Says it? I don't remember. But that Shlomo only made the Xer on Kodshim. The Yadayim are Matami Kodshim. And they extend it to all foods. Okay, and the second base means extend it to all foods. So in any event, Rabbi Yirmiyah Sover and Meimar, Eretz Amim, Uklis Chuchis Tluya, that are initially Eretz Amim and Klis Chuchis, you wouldn't burn. It only became a burning offense much later on. So it says, Rabbi Yossi Sover and Meimar, Eretz Amim Tluya, Klis Chuchis Reifa. Rabbi Yossi argues. He says, that which enters the airspace of Goyim is Sophic, but that which comes into contact, Klis Chuchis, which comes into contact with the Tumah, is definitely a Sreifa. Says more, Elo and Sophic says Shishos Fekos, either 6 Fekos they decreed are Tomei, contrary to popular halacha. Asavi base of process, you have a Sophic of a kever which was plowed under. They don't know where it is in the field, so the entire field is Sophic with Butami Sophic, and since Butami is Sophic, then you have to you have to go to the mikveh, but it's not talking about here the kelim. I don't know what it's saying. Nothing important. So, Elon Shish's Vegas, these are 6 Vegas. Al-Savi based on price, Savi grave was plowed under. Al-Savi at a time, Savi entered by non-Jews. Al-Savi Chutzart. Al-Savi big day Am Oretz. The God of Haaretz, we never know. Maybe his wife dissolved or the Nido dealt with them, right? Al-Savi Roke. On saliva, you don't know if it's a Jews or a Goyes. What's the case? You have to assume it's possibly of a Zov. And finally, not quite finally, I skipped, didn't I? Sufik may ragli odom. Hygiene is good, right. If you have urine, which you don't know even if it's human beings. You don't know if it's human beings or animals, right? It's opposite the urine of an animal. So it might be the animal's urine and not yours, right? Not human beings. Nonetheless, you have to be machmer and be safek. And even though the Korban points out it's a fake safek if it's human urine or animal urine. And even if it's human urine, it's possible that it's urine from a Torah person, not from a Tomei person. And nonetheless, they're machmer and they're safek, right? Alvare magonchu. So if you touch, if you're mistaken about them, you're told and you burn. If alvade magon, if you definitely touched them, shusavi tumas. It's just you don't know if they're a tummy or not. So in that case, al elu sarfinis a truma. You can burn truma. That's a good enough. It's good. It's good enough if they touch for sure, even if it's suffix what they meant. So nonetheless, a suffix what not a suffix what they meant. The suffix whether they're tamei or not. So in that case, you burn the truma. So again, if you have a suffix whether people touched or not, you have tamei people who suffer suffix if they touched. So in that case, I say totally. But if you have a case where they definitely touched, it's just a question whether the stuff was tummy or not. In that case, we can be told to be made. Well, it's less severe. Okay, am I making myself clear though? It's supposed to be based on price, eretamim, bidi amoret, soke groke, suffix meimer glaim. So what is the 6? Yeah, the carbonator brings it down. Outside, I didn't notice before. I didn't count. It's not your style to count either.
Too tired, that's why.
But I wanted to mention once it's off the topic. I mentioned today in my afternoon share, and nobody knew before I mentioned it, which shocked me. But did you ever notice in the Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur Machzer says Utshuva Tfilut Tzedakah Ma'avir Misra Gzeira? You know that's in the Sanatoka. It says on top Tzom Kol Momos. Did you ever notice that? I always wondered why do they put that there? What, do they think we're morons? We don't know how to translate it? No. Even in the non-translated Machzer. So it hit me in the middle of Shmon Esrei this year. It's the same. They're all the same gematria. Tzom Kol and Momo. No, as each other. The printer wanted to show that fasting, davening, and monetary mitzvahs are all related, because the gematria of each one is 136. You guys didn't notice that either? Huh? Okay. So just so once you said counting, that brought that to mind. So anyway, so he throws in the carbonated, throws in the 6th thing. He says if you find a keli, you don't know what it is, you have to assume it's a suffix, tummy. So again, if the suffix is on the objects, but the vade touched your object, then for sure you have to burn your object or your crop. If, however, the suffix is on the objects themselves, right? Then and you don't know if they did. And I got it wrong here. When they definitely touched your product, and you don't know if they're tamei, then you got to burn them. Where they are definitely tamei, but they're all the rabbanans though, of course. But you don't know if it touched your product. In that case, tolling. Then you leave your product around till it rots, and then you just dispose of it. Okay. Masnisin again. Hosi Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva had another thing. He says, "Mi man shokwanim." Through the entire. No, the Mishnah is divided in 2, in 3 actually, in 3, because we had one part. Now we're having another part, and then tomorrow night we'll have yet another 3rd part. Yeah. But it seems like it's much shorter, so it should be okay. Says Yerushalmi further, the Mishnah further. Hosi Rabbi Akiva had remain shulkoim lonim numi la'alik. They didn't refrain from lighting. It's a shem and shnifsal b'tful yom, oil which is possible by tful yom, meaning it's a shlishi. V'ner shnitma b'tmei mace. In a candle which was tummy when it came to contact with the tmei mace. Meaning, what's the candle now? So the Yerushalmi actually is going to have a havmina that the candle is not metal. But if it's a metal keli, then the candle itself is an avatuma, right? Now here clearly we're adding tuma because the oil which was in the candle became a rishon because contact came into contact with an av. The oil in the oil which is full yom touch is only a shlishi. So here shlishi will become a sheni. Yet nonetheless, Rabbi Akiva is permitting this. Emor is going to pick up on that. Says Gemara, Al-Daited Rabbi Yochanan, Kor Rabbi Yochanan, Tamon, Sorfim, Tumas Toiroim, Tumas Toiro. The first Mishnah is saying to burn soil, which is Tomei the right, which is Tomei the right. Ubalo si psul Toira im Tumas Toira. And it comes to add a psul of Torah, meaning stuff which touched full yom is only a shlishi. It's not really tamei, it's only puzzle, right? Shlishi is not really tamei because it's not tamei acherim. It's not tamei acherim. It's only pasul, not tamei. So the first Mishnah tells you can burn tamei with tamei. This is a shtickle bigger chiddush. So I used to burn tamei with puzzle. So I understand according to Rabbi Yochanan what the sequence is. Okay. Al daiti the bar kapor according to Peter bar kapor. The first Mishnah was a fantastic chiddush already. That he burns it, which is Tamei Dorai, so it's Tamei Rabbanan. Here it's a bigger chiddush, it's a much smaller chiddush. Here it's just that apostle Doraisa, that apostle Doraisa, you burn the Tamei Doraisa. Big deal. Lo ba'el livchos, it only detracts. Everybody, I need to make something clear. Even going to Bar Kapara, a tful yom that passes truma is a daraisa. Even though there's normally, a vlad is not metame daraisa, right? Once you get down to rishon latuma, it's not metame daraisa. Nevertheless, the fact that a tful yom passes, that's upgeret. It's explicit in the Torah. The tful yom is not to eat truma till nightfall. So it indicates that, and we learned that from Sukkim in the Bibli, I forget what they were.
So what's interesting is, part of our Gemara, what you have then is a
quasi-tumah. It's called puzzle.
Well, there's a dichotomy.
Yeah.
There's a tumah and a psul.
Right.
It may not be devastating.
You're playing Brisker.
Yeah.
Okay.
He counted all the cases.
Yes. Okay. So again, according to Rabbi Yochanan, there's shtickle achidish in the second Mishnah. First Mishnah is talking about Tuma Doraisa, and here we're saying even a puzzle Doraisa with a Tuma Doraisa. But according to Bar Kapara, we're regressing in the second Mishnah. First Mishnah talked about a bigger chiddush of a Tuma Doraisa with a Tuma Dorabanan. Now we're saying you can burn a Tuma Doraisa with a puzzle Doraisa. That's partial. Simple. What are we saying here, right? Again, I'll tell you Bar Kapara, time and serving Tumas Tiveim Tumas Torah. Follow puzzle term Tumas Torah. Lo ba'el chos. We're going down a chiddush. Says the Gemara. He put there two answers. Well, actually, one answer, and then another one later on. Tipater b'tful yom should be based on pras shumidivreim. So tful yom not from a tumah daraisa, it's a tful yom from a tumah darabbanan. He walked through a base on pras. He walked through an area which was a suffix itself. So therefore, it's only a tful yom darabbanan. Nonetheless, the chiddush is that this tful yom will make stuff tamei darabbanan, puzzle darabbanan. He'll burn the puzzle darabbanan with the tumah daraisa. And that's, of course, a much bigger chiddush. First Mishnah is saying Tomei Doraisa. The Tomei Doraisa is saying a Tomei Dorabanan. You burn the Tomei Doraisa. He's saying not just that, even a Psul Dorabanan. You burn the Tomei Doraisa. Okay. So that's one answer. Rabbi Chinas Kana Konim, says the Gemara. Wait a minute. Ask the Gemara. Rabbi Chinas Kana Konim, ask the Gemara. Rabbi Chinas Kana Konim, Shani Mishum Beis Shammai Beis Hillel. I don't understand what you're saying. That let me make sure I get this right. Right. We said in the previous Gemara that Rabbi Chinas Kana Konim holds like Beis Shammai. Also, he wanted to say Mishnah Kohen Beis Shammai. Mistam Rabbi Akiva was a continuation of Rabbi Chinas Kohen. It's adhering to the same principle. Rabbi Beis Shammai, the Kohen Beis Shammai can't interpret our Mishnah because Beis Shammai holds you're not allowed to burn a puzzle with a tummy. Now I'm not to burn no sort of pigu with tummy. So how are you going to burn this measly, puny Tumah D'Rabbanan with the Tumah Psul D'Rabbanan with the Tumah D'Oraisa? If a Psul D'Oraisa can't burn with the Tumah D'Oraisa, certainly a Psul D'Rabbanan you can't burn with the Tumah D'Oraisa. So this is a kasha on Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan will tell us in the first Mishnah you can burn a Tomei D'Rabbanan with a Tomei D'Oraisa with a Tomei D'Oraisa, even though different madregas. And this Mishnah says you can burn a Tomei D'Rabbanan with the Tomei D'Oraisa. I don't understand. How can you say this? It's not really Tomei D'Rabbanan, it's a Psul D'Rabbanan. And a Psul D'Rabbanan, because it's fully touching Truma, is only a puzzle. And we saw that even a Psul D'Oraisa, according to Beis Shammai, you can't burn with the Tomei D'Oraisa. So you're going to have the audacity to say burn a Psul D'Rabbanan with the Tomei D'Oraisa? It's not shaykh to say such a thing. You can't say that. Says the Gemara, amazing answer. Says the Gemara, Amra Imona Kum Rabbi Yossi. Ramona said name in front of Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Kiva Kedaite. Kiva Mer Yitma Torah. Kiva holds Yitma to the right. It's an extra word Yitma. So it gives there in the Farshim Yitma. If you remember from the Babli ultimately rejected this. But the Remei Chamayim, the Aruch HaShulchan says Yerushalmi holds. Rabbi Kiva holds Shlishi makes Revi by Truma. And Revi makes Chamishi by Kochik. Remember, Rabbi Akiva always went down a notch. So here, it's Rabbi Akiva's consistent. Rabbi Akiva's really saying, burn Tomei D'Oraisa with Tomei D'Oraisa. Because he holds that Shlishi by Truma is not just Potzel already, it's also Tomei. So according to Rabbi Yochanan, this is Rabbi Akiva, it is consistent. And both can be going like Beis Shammai. The first Mishnah saying do Tomei D'Oraisa with Tomei D'Oraisa, even though one is a Rishon and one is a Shlishi. Right? That was the first. That was the first Mishnah. You do. Truth is, now I see. I think I see where the Mashbiach made his point now. First Mishnah says you burn a Tomei D'Oraisa with a Tomei D'Oraisa, and here also telling you can burn a Tomei D'Oraisa, Tomei D'Oraisa. But the Mashbiach seems to be right. In order for it to be a bigger Chiddush, we have to say the first Mishnah was talking about burning a Rishon with a Sheni, and the Gemara remained with the difficulty of Rabbi Yochanan. Burning a Rishon with a Sheni should not be a problem, and this Mishnah with Rabbi Akiva is burning a Rishon with a Shlishi. And the first Mishnah would say you burn a Rishon with a Sheni. The second Mishnah is saying not only that you can burn a Rishon with a Shlishi, as long as they're both Tomei, because according to Rabbi Akiva, the Shlishi is also Tomei. But that's very good according to the Mashbiach's Girsa, that the Yerushalmi doesn't ever answer that the first Mishnah is talking about a Shlishi, which touched the Rishon. But if the Yerushalmi, like all the other Mefarshim, learns that the first Mishnah is talking about Shlishi, which touched the Rishon, so the second Mishnah is not adding anything. Because even if you say Shlishi is Tamei, like Rabbi Akiva, it's still Shlishi with Rishon. But like the Mashbiach, that held that the first Mishnah is talking about a Sheni with a Rishon. And it's Shver on Rabbi Yochanan, and we don't have an answer. But that's what the Mishnah is talking about. So then it's a Chidush, the next Mishnah, which comes and says, and even a Shlishi with the Rishon. Now I see why the Mashbiach felt compelled to change the gears. It's very good. Okay. Rabbi Yosef Bun Abagav Leser Rabbi Shmuel Yitma Bochlin. Even Rabbi Shmuel doesn't know that Ochel is Matame Ochel. Isa Yitma Bekalim. He holds a Kalim is Matame Kalim. Now the Korban throws a monkey wrench in this. This is just a generic statement about Rabbi Shmuel Shita. But the Korban throws a monkey wrench in it. It says really Kalim is not Matame Kalim. What it means is that a Kalim is Matame Kalim if there's mashka in between. Because the mashka always becomes a rishon. So I don't know what the big chiddush is, but that's how he learns the Gemara. Okay. Now, Istani Tani, there's someone learned that in our Mishnah we're talking about where the candle was touched is to make the ner tmei mace, that the ner itself touched a mace, in which case the ner is an aviyah vosatuma. It should be an aviyah vosatuma, right? Istani tani bitmei mace is someone who learned that it's talking about a candle which touched a tmei mace, which means that the ner is only an avatuma. Okay? So it says Yerushalmi, it's not like that. Mandamar tmei mace, you said it's talking about where the ner itself touched the mace. It's not bikli, and here's a big typo, or Sameach points out, it's bikli cheres. It's talking about down a notch. So really, even though the ner touched the mace, it's still only an avatuma, right? Man damar b'tmei mace, you says that the ner touched the tmei mace, he's learning that it's about clay matros, a metal vessel, in which case the candle itself is an avatuma. Regardless, somehow we can figure that the candle itself is an avatuma, and then whatever is in it is a rishon l'tuma. Okay? Man damar b'tmei mace, my time, what the pasuk teaches us, any open vessel, tamehu, it becomes tameh. Hu tameh ve'eno nasa avatum letameh. It itself is tameh, but it cannot become an avatuma to be metame other things, right? That's a keli. I forgot what this is coming to tell us. This is like, let's see if we can figure it out. Because it's talking about a kli pasul, which is an oil mace, right? So it becomes tamei. The kli pasul, which is an oil mace, becomes tamei, and it doesn't become an avatuma to be metame others. Yeah, but so what? Even yeah, but it goes into it's an oil. The tumah goes in, so it becomes an av. It doesn't make something else an av, right? No, but it makes everything else a rishon inside it. I guess what it means is that a kli cheres goes down a notch. Hu tameh means that it goes down a notch. It doesn't have the same tumah. It must be by kli by a chalal. It must be that we have a klei matchos that says yitma somewhere, that it itself becomes tameh like the thing it touches. Yeah, but it just says chalal cheref. Yeah. I don't know. So I don't know. Somehow we're learning from this that no keli can come out of a tumor. All right, I have to come back to it tomorrow because I don't remember what it means.